don't need another strategy. You don't need to level up or push harder or figure it all out. In fact, the reason you're still struggling might be because you're trying too hard. I know that sounds backward, good. Because everything you've been taught about healing is backward. What if I told you that the moment you stop resisting your life is the moment it starts working for you? Stay with me, this gets interesting. You've been told your whole life that healing requires discipline, effort, willpower, that if you're still in pain, you must not be trying hard enough. That belief is killing you. Not metaphorically, literally. Your body is designed to heal, but it cannot heal while you are at war with it. What I'm about to share with you will show you why fighting your emotions, your circumstances, and even your illness is the single greatest obstacle to your transformation and what happens physically and spiritually when you finally stop. I'm not going to tell you to let go in some vague, dismissive way. I'm going to walk you through the exact mental and emotional patterns that keep you trapped in resistance, show you how those patterns manifest as physical disease and chronic suffering, and teach you how to shift from fighting to allowing, without becoming passive, without losing yourself, without pretending everything is fine when it's not. This isn't about positivity, it's about truth, and the truth is this: you are not broken. You are exhausted from pretending you are. I want you to picture a garden with me. Not a perfect one, a real one. There's a gardener there, and she's struggling. Every single day, she's out there pulling weeds, cutting back growth, trying to control which plants live and which ones die. She's exhausted. Her hands are raw and blistered. Her back aches constantly. She can barely sleep at night because she's worrying about what's happening in the garden while she's inside. And the garden, it's dying. Not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much in the wrong way. She's convinced that without her constant intervention, everything will fall apart. So she pulls and prunes and fights nature itself. She sees certain plants as weeds, as enemies, as things that don't belong. She has a picture in her mind of what the garden should look like. Neat rows, specific colors, a certain aesthetic she saw in a magazine once, and anything that doesn't match that picture must be eliminated. She works herself to the bone trying to force the garden into the image she's holding in her head. But the garden doesn't cooperate. The plants she wants to thrive keep dying. The weeds she pulls keep coming back. Nothing looks the way it's supposed to, and she blames herself. She thinks if she just worked harder, got up earlier, stayed out later, was more vigilant, more dedicated, more perfect, then the garden would finally become what she wants it to be. One season she gets sick, really sick. She can't get out of bed, much less tend the garden. She lies there, filled with guilt and fear, certain that without her constant intervention, everything will fall apart. She imagines the garden overrun, choked with weeds, completely destroyed. The guilt eats at her worse than the illness. She feels like she's failing, like she's letting everything down, like all her hard work is being undone, but she's too weak to get up, too exhausted to fight anymore. She has no choice but to let go. Weeks pass, then months. The seasons change, and something unexpected happens, something she never could have predicted. The garden begins to thrive, not just survive, thrive. The plants she thought were weeds turn out to have deep roots that prevent erosion during storms. They hold the soil together when heavy rains come. The wildflowers she kept cutting back bloom in bursts of color, attracting bees and butterflies that pollinate the other plants, that had not plants, bees and other plants, and she kept creating a whole ecosystem she never intended, but that works beautifully. The vegetables she tried to grow in neat, controlled rows were never happy. They were too crowded, too confined, struggling for light and nutrients. But now, with space to spread and breathe and find their own way, they flourish. They're bigger and healthier than they ever were under her careful management. The soil, left alone, balances itself. Nutrients cycle naturally. Earthworms and beneficial insects move in. Microorganisms break down dead matter and feed the roots. Everything finds its place in a natural rhythm she never could have designed or controlled. The garden becomes a living, breathing system that regulates itself, heals itself, thrives without her constant interference. When she finally returns, weak and uncertain, leaning on a cane, she doesn't recognize what she sees. It's not the garden she tried to force into being. It's wild, it's abundant. It's messy in some places and surprisingly orderly in others. It's alive in a way it never was under her control. And in that moment, standing at the edge of this thriving, breathing ecosystem, she realizes something that breaks her heart and heals it at the same time. The garden never needed her to fight for it. It needed her to trust it, to work with it, not against it, to support its natural wisdom instead of imposing her will on it. This is what I learned about my own body. For years, decades, really, I treated it like that garden. I criticized it constantly. I punished it for not being what I thought it should be. I tried to control every ache, every pound, every imperfection. I looked in the mirror and saw nothing but flaws. Too fat, too old, too damaged, not enough, never enough. My thighs were too big, my stomach wasn't flat, my skin had wrinkles, my hair wasn't right, nothing about me was acceptable. And my body responded the way that garden did. Under the gardener's grip, it withered. Every morning I would wake up and the first thing I'd do was assess what was wrong with me, what hurt, what looked bad, what I needed to fix. My inner dialogue was a constant stream of criticism and judgment. You look terrible. You're getting old. You're falling apart. No one could love you looking like this. You need to try harder, do better, be better, on and on all day long, every single day. My illnesses weren't random. They weren't bad luck or genetic fate or some mysterious curse from the universe. They were my body's way of showing me I was at war with myself. Every critical thought was a blow. Every moment of self-hatred was poison coursing through my veins. Every time I said I hate my thighs, or I'm so stupid, or why can't I just be normal, my body heard me. My cells heard me, my organs heard me, and they responded. You see, your body doesn't know the difference between a real attack and an emotional one. When you criticize yourself, your body experiences it as danger. Your nervous system activates. Stress hormones flood your bloodstream. Your muscles tense. Your digestion shuts down. Your immune system weakens. All because you told yourself you weren't good enough. Your body is trying to protect you from a threat, and the threat is you. The healing didn't come from a new diet or a new doctor, though those things had their place. It didn't come from a pill or a procedure or a program. It came when I stopped fighting, when I stopped saying, why is this happening to me? And started saying, what is this trying to teach me? When I stopped seeing my body as the enemy and started seeing it as the messenger. When I stopped trying to force my body to be something it wasn't and started accepting it as it was. And what it taught me changed everything. But I had to go deeper first, into the place most of us are terrified to look. I had to face the truth about how I really felt about myself. And that truth was ugly, painful, hard to admit. But it was also the key to everything. There was a time in my life when I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I mean, really look. I would glance, check my hair, my clothes, make sure nothing was too obviously wrong, but I wouldn't meet my own eyes, because if I did, I'd see the truth I was running from. I hated myself, deeply, completely, with a viciousness that shocked me when I finally acknowledged it. I didn't use that word then. It felt too harsh, too dramatic, too much like something wrong with me. I called it being realistic, or holding myself accountable, or just being honest about my flaws. I'm just being realistic. I tell myself, I'm just seeing things clearly. I'm just not deluding myself like other people do. But underneath all those polite words was a deep, burning contempt, a rage directed inward. a belief that I was fundamentally wrong, broken, unacceptable. I blamed myself for everything: my past, my pain, my body, my failures, my abuse, my relationships, my choices, all of it. Everything that had ever gone wrong in my life was somehow my fault. If I was abused as a child, it was because there was something wrong with me that invited it. If relationships failed, it was because I wasn't lovable enough. If I got sick, it was because I wasn't strong enough, or disciplined enough, or positive enough. No matter what happened, I found a way to make it my fault, my failure, my fundamental inadequacy. And I thought that blame would motivate me to change. I thought if I was hard enough on myself, if I criticized myself enough, if I never let myself off the hook, I would finally become the person I was supposed to be, the person who was worthy of love, the person who deserved good things, the person who was enough. Instead, it made me sick, literally. My body broke down under the weight of my own criticism. I developed illness after illness. My back hurt constantly, so much chronic pain that some days I could barely move. My digestion was a disaster, every meal was a gamble, and I never knew what would make me feel terrible. I couldn't sleep, I'd lie awake for hours, my mind spinning with worries and regrets and criticisms. I was exhausted all the time, but wired with anxiety, running on adrenaline and fear. And then came the cancer. Cancer. The word alone terrified me. The ultimate message from a body that can't take it anymore. The final warning, the last straw. My body was saying, in the loudest way possible, we can't do this anymore. Something has to change or we're going to die. One morning, after another sleepless night, after another wave of self-hatred and fear washing over me, I forced myself to stand in front of the mirror. I made myself look into my own eyes, really look, not glance away, not focus on my flaws. Just look at the human being staring back at me. And I said out loud, voice shaking, I love you. 3 words, that's all, just 3 simple words. And I started to cry. Not gentle tears, deep, shaking sobs that came from somewhere so deep I didn't know it existed. Not because it felt true, but because it felt impossible. How could I love this person I'd been punishing for so long? This person who had failed and been hurt and made mistakes and wasn't enough and never would be. This person who was sick and broken and damaged beyond repair. But something inside me knew I had to try, because the alternative, continuing on the path I was on, was death. Not metaphorical death, actual death. My body was shutting down, my spirit was crushed, I was dying from the inside out, killed not by the cancer but by my own hatred of myself. So I kept doing it, every single day. Even when I didn't believe it, even when it felt like the most ridiculous, pointless exercise in the world, even when I felt like a fraud standing there telling lies to my reflection, I stood in front of that mirror and I said, I love you, I forgive you, you are enough. Sometimes through tears, sometimes through gritted teeth, sometimes whispering because I couldn't make my voice any louder. Sometimes shouting because the words needed that force to break through decades of hatred, but I said it. The first week was torture. Every fiber of my being rejected those words. My mind immediately countered with a list of reasons why I didn't deserve love, why I couldn't be forgiven, why I would never be enough. That's a lie, the voice in my head would say. Look at you. Look at what you've done. Look at what's been done to you. You're damaged goods. You're broken. No amount of saying I love you is going to change that. But I kept going. The second week was a little easier, not because I believed it, but because I'd built a habit. It became part of my morning routine, like brushing my teeth. I didn't have to think about it or convince myself to do it. I just did it. The third week, something shifted, not dramatically, not obviously. But I noticed that the voice in my head was a little quieter. The resistance was a little softer. I could meet my own eyes for a few more seconds before looking away. And slowly, so slowly, I almost didn't notice at first, something shifted. not just in my mind, but in my body. The tension I'd carried for years began to release. My shoulders dropped away from my ears. My jaw unclenched. I hadn't even realized how tightly I'd been holding everything until I started to let go. The constant knot in my stomach started to loosen. The pain I thought was permanent started to ease. Not all at once, not magically, but genuinely, measurably, it changed. My body wasn't broken, it had just been trying to survive me. Trying to survive the war, I was waging against it every single day with my thoughts, my words, my beliefs. And when I finally stopped fighting, when I finally started sending messages of love instead of hate, forgiveness instead of blame, acceptance instead of criticism, my body responded. It began to heal, because that's what bodies do when you give them a chance. When you stop poisoning them with toxic thoughts and stress hormones. When you create an environment of safety instead of danger. So if self-love is the answer, why does it feel so impossible? And why does fighting ourselves feel so natural, so right, so necessary? That's what I need you to understand next. Because until you understand this, you'll keep sabotaging your own healing without even realizing it. Let me say this clearly as I can. The fight you're in right now isn't real. Now, before you get upset, before you think I'm dismissing your pain or minimizing your struggles, let me explain what I mean. I don't mean your pain isn't real. Your pain is absolutely real. I don't mean your circumstances aren't hard. They are. I don't mean you haven't been hurt or that your struggles don't matter. They do. All of that is real and valid and important. What I mean is this. The war you're waging inside yourself, the belief that you must battle your body, your emotions, your life in order to survive that war, is a learned behavior. It's a pattern, a habit, a story you've been telling yourself for so long you think it's the truth. You think it's just reality, just the way things are, just what you have to do to get through life. But it's not. It can be unlearned, it can be changed, you can choose a different way. You were taught to fight, maybe by a parent who told you to toughen up, to stop crying, to be strong, that the world doesn't care about your feelings, so you better learn to suck it up. Maybe by a teacher who praised you for pushing through pain and punished you for showing weakness, who gave you gold stars for perfect attendance even when you were sick, who taught you that your worth was measured by your performance no matter what it cost you. Maybe by a culture that equates rest with laziness, that tells you your worth is measured by your productivity, that says if you're not hustling, you're failing, that glorifies burnout and calls it success. Maybe by your own experience of being hurt, of trusting someone who betrayed you, of being vulnerable and getting wounded, of opening your heart and having it crushed and deciding you'd never let that happen again. You built walls, you put on armor, you learned to be vigilant, to control everything, to never let your guard down, because being open hurt too much. Being soft made you a target. Being vulnerable was dangerous. Fighting became your strategy, your armor, your identity, your proof that you were trying, that you hadn't given up, that you were strong enough to handle whatever life threw at you. Fighting meant you were doing something, taking action, not being a victim, not being weak, not being at the mercy of life. You were in control, or at least you were trying to be, and trying counted for something, didn't it? And on some level it worked. You survived. You got through things that could have broken you. You're still here, still breathing, still showing up every day despite everything. So the fighting must be right, must be necessary, must be what's keeping you alive. This is what you tell yourself. This is the story that keeps you locked in the pattern. But here's what no one tells you, what I wish someone had told me decades ago, what could have saved me years of suffering. Fighting creates the very thing you're fighting against. This is the paradox. This is the trap. The more you fight, the more there is to fight. The harder you push, the harder life pushes back. The tighter you grip, the more everything slips through your fingers. When you fight your body, it tenses. Your muscles contract and stay contracted, creating chronic pain and tension. Your nervous system goes into alarm mode and stays there, flooding you with stress hormones day after day. Your body doesn't know the difference between fighting a real threat like a lion chasing you and fighting yourself. It just knows there's danger, so it prepares to run or attack or freeze. Your heart races. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your digestion shuts down, because why would your body waste energy digesting food when it thinks you're about to be eaten? Your immune system weakens because all your resources are going toward dealing with the immediate threat. And in that state, your body cannot heal. Healing requires safety, it requires rest, it requires the parasympathetic nervous system to be active, the part of your nervous system that says all is well, it's safe to relax, it's safe to repair and restore. But when you're fighting, you're in sympathetic nervous system activation, fight or flight mode. And you can't be in both states at once. You can't be healing and fighting at the same time. It's physiologically impossible. When you fight your emotions, they intensify. Have you ever noticed this? You try to push down your anger, telling yourself you shouldn't feel that way, that it's not okay to be angry, that you need to be calm and rational. And what happens? The anger builds and builds and builds until you explode, often at the wrong person or the wrong time or in a way that shames you afterward. You try to avoid your sadness, distracting yourself with work or food or television or anything to not feel the grief that's sitting heavy in your chest. And what happens? It leaks out in ways you can't control. Irritability, numbness, exhaustion, crying at commercials, feeling empty and disconnected from life. You try to logic your way out of your anxiety, telling yourself there's nothing to worry about, that you're being irrational, that you just need to think positive thoughts and it will go away. And what happens? The anxiety just finds new things to worry about. It shape-shifts, it adapts, because anxiety isn't logical, it's emotional, and you can't think your way out of a feeling. You have to feel your way through it. Emotions are like water. When you dam them up, when you try to control them and contain them and stop them from flowing, they either overflow or find cracks to seep through. They don't go away just because you fight them. They go underground where they do even more damage. They manifest as physical symptoms, headaches, stomach problems, muscle tension, fatigue. They come out sideways, snapping at people you love, numbing out, making impulsive decisions, sabotaging yourself in subtle ways. When you fight your circumstances, you anchor yourself to them. Every moment you spend resisting what is, you're putting energy into it. You're keeping it alive in your mind, in your body, in your life. You're saying, this shouldn't be happening, this is wrong, this isn't fair, this isn't what I wanted. And all of that resistance, all that mental and emotional energy keeps you stuck in the very situation you're trying to escape. It's like being stuck in quicksand. If you've ever seen someone in quicksand, or if you know anything about how quicksand works, the worst thing you can do is struggle. The more you struggle, the faster you sink. The more you fight and flail and panic, the deeper you go. The way to get out of quicksand is counterintuitive. You have to relax. You have to spread out. You have to move slowly and deliberately. You have to stop fighting. Life is like that. The circumstances you're resisting, the situations you're fighting against, the reality you're trying to deny or change or escape fighting them, keeps you stuck in them. Resistance is not strength. It's suffering disguised as control. It's exhausting yourself while staying exactly where you are. I spent years, most of my life, actually believing I had to fight to be safe. To fight meant I was doing something, taking action, not giving up, not being a victim. If I just fought hard enough, long enough, smart enough, I could finally win. I could finally get to the place where I didn't have to fight anymore, where everything would be okay and I could rest. But that place never came. Every victory was temporary. I'd win one battle, overcome one obstacle, solve one problem, get through one crisis, and another would immediately appear. There was always something else to fight, always another threat to defend against. Always another way I was failing, or something I needed to fix, or someone I needed to please, or some part of myself I needed to improve. And I was exhausted, completely depleted, running on fumes. My adrenals were shot. My body was breaking down. I couldn't sleep, but I couldn't stay awake. I was in pain all the time. And I couldn't understand why life was so hard, why healing was so far away, why I could never just rest, never just be okay, never just feel safe and at peace. The moment I stopped, not because I had the answer, not because I suddenly became enlightened or figured it all out, but because I was too tired to keep going, because I literally could not take one more step, I discovered something miraculous, something that changed everything. My body knew how to heal. It had always known. It was designed to heal. Every cell in my body was programmed for health and wholeness. My mind knew how to rest. It actually wanted to rest. It was craving peace and quiet and stillness. My life knew how to unfold. There was a natural flow, a rhythm, an intelligence to how things happen when I wasn't trying to micromanage and control every detail. I just had to get out of the way. I had to stop interfering. I had to stop fighting the very things that were trying to help me, heal me, support me. But how do you do that? How do you stop fighting without giving up? How do you surrender without losing yourself? How do you stop resisting without becoming a doormat, without letting people walk all over you, without just accepting things that are genuinely wrong or harmful? That's the paradox we're going to untangle right now. Because surrender doesn't mean what you think it means. It's not about giving up. It's not about becoming passive or weak or letting life happen to you while you just sit there and take it. It's not about tolerating abuse or staying in situations that hurt you or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Real surrender, the kind I'm talking about, the kind that actually heals, is about something completely different. Surrender is about releasing the need to control outcomes you were never meant to control in the first place. Think about that for a moment. Really think about it. How much energy are you spending right now trying to control things that are completely outside your power? Trying to control other people, what they think of you, what they say about you, whether they love you or leave you, whether they approve of you or judge you. You can't control any of that. Their thoughts and feelings and choices are theirs, not yours. Trying to control the past, replaying it over and over in your mind, wishing it had been different, thinking about what you should have said or done, trying to change something that's already happened and is completely unchangeable. You can't control the past. It's over. It's done. No amount of ruminating or regretting or replaying is going to change one single thing about it. Trying to control the future, worrying about all the terrible things that might happen, planning for every possible scenario, trying to predict and prevent and prepare for every potential problem. You can't control the future. You don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. And most of what we worry about never happens anyway. We waste so much energy on fears that never materialize. Trying to control your body's natural processes, its need for food and water and rest and movement, its aging, its cycles and rhythms, the way it responds to stress or illness or injury. You can support your body, you can nourish it and care for it, but you can't control it the way you think you can. Your body has its own wisdom, its own intelligence, its own timeline for healing and growth and change. You can't control any of those things. And trying to control them is making you sick. It's exhausting you. It's stealing your peace, your joy, your life, your present moment. Because while you're busy trying to control everything, you're not actually living. You're not here. You're in your head, spinning in anxiety and fear and what-ifs and should-haves. Surrender is about letting go of that impossible burden. It's about recognizing what's actually in your control, which is very little really when you get down to it, and releasing everything else. It's about trusting that life is for you, not against you, that your body is wise and knows what it needs, that your emotions have intelligence and are trying to tell you something important, that the universe or God or life or whatever word feels right to you is supporting you, guiding you, even when you can't see how, even when it doesn't feel like it. It's about stopping the exhausting work of trying to force reality to match your expectations, and instead asking, what is this moment asking of me? What is this situation teaching me? What is trying to emerge here if I stop trying to control it? It's about curiosity instead of resistance, openness instead of rigidity, trust instead of fear. When I stopped fighting my cancer, I didn't stop treating it. I want to be really clear about that, because people sometimes misunderstand surrender as meaning you just give up and don't do anything. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't refuse medical care or pretend the cancer wasn't serious or just sit around visualizing it away. I did what needed to be done. I worked with doctors. I made informed choices about my treatment. I took action where action was appropriate, but I stopped hating it. I stopped seeing the cancer as my enemy, as this terrible thing that was happening to me, as proof that my body had betrayed me. I started seeing it as part of my healing journey, as a teacher, as a wake-up call that probably saved my life, by forcing me to change everything. My thoughts, my beliefs, my relationships, my lifestyle, my entire way of being in the world. I stopped asking, how do I make this go away as fast as possible? And started asking, what is this teaching me? What needs to change in my life? What have I been refusing to see or feel or deal with? What is my body trying to tell me through this illness? That shift from resistance to curiosity, from fighting to learning, from seeing my body as the enemy to seeing it as my greatest teacher changed everything. Not just mentally, though that changed too, but physically, tangibly, measurably. My treatments worked better. My body responded faster to the interventions. I had energy I hadn't felt in years. My pain levels decreased. My mood improved. I started sleeping better, all because I wasn't using all my energy to fight anymore. I was using it to heal. And there's a big difference between those two things. Surrender doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become passive or check out or stop trying or stop hoping for things to get better. It means you stop carrying what was never yours to carry. You release the belief that you have to fix everything, manage everything, control everything, be responsible for everything. You recognize that you're not God. You're not in charge of the universe. You're a human being doing the best you can with what you know and what you have. You trust your body to heal because it knows how. It's been healing cuts and bruises and broken bones your entire life without you having to think about it. You trust your emotions to move through you because they will if you let them, if you stop damming them up. Emotions are meant to be felt and released, not held and stored. You trust life to unfold because it will, whether you're gripping the steering wheel so hard your knuckles turn white, or whether you're relaxing into the ride. But trust is hard when you've been hurt, when life has knocked you down over and over, when the people who were supposed to protect you didn't, when your body has failed you, or at least that's how it feels, when you've trusted before and been betrayed, when you've been vulnerable before and been wounded. So how do you begin? How do you take the first step when everything in you wants to hold on, to stay in control, to keep fighting, because at least fighting feels like you're doing something? That's where the practice comes in. That's where forgiveness becomes the key to everything. And that's where I need you to stay with me, because this is where it gets deep. This is where the real healing happens. I need you to hear this, really hear it, let it sink all the way in. Your body is not your enemy. Your body is not punishing you, it's not betraying you, it's not failing you. It's not weak or broken or wrong. Your body is protecting you. Every ache, every illness, every breakdown, every symptom you've been fighting against, every pain you've been trying to make go away is your body's way of saying stop. Listen, something is wrong, something needs to change. I can't keep doing this. When I was diagnosed with cancer, my first thought was, why me? What did I do to deserve this? I was angry, furious actually. I was terrified, confused, overwhelmed. I felt betrayed by my body. I had tried to take care of it well in the ways I knew how, which mostly meant controlling it and criticizing it and punishing it when it didn't behave the way I wanted, and this was how it repaid me. With cancer, it felt like the ultimate failure, like proof that I was broken beyond repair, like my body had given up on me. But as I began my healing journey, not just the medical treatments, though those were important, but the emotional and spiritual work that I knew intuitively was just as crucial, I realized something profound, something that changed everything, something that saved my life in more ways than one. My body wasn't my enemy. My body was my greatest teacher. It was the only part of me brave enough to tell the truth, the only part of me that wouldn't keep pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. The cancer wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't punishment from God or the universe or karma for something I'd done wrong in this life or a past life. It was the culmination of decades of self-hatred, suppressed rage, and unhealed trauma. My body had been whispering for years through headaches that wouldn't go away, through exhaustion that no amount of sleep could fix, through digestive problems that made every meal an ordeal, through pain in my back and neck and shoulders that I tried to ignore or medicate away or just push through because I didn't have time to deal with it. And when I wouldn't listen to the whispers, when I kept overriding my body's signals, when I kept pushing and forcing and ignoring, it had to shout. Cancer was the shout. It was my body's last resort. It was the only way to get my attention, because everything else had failed. You see, I had spent my whole life holding things in, swallowing my anger because good girls don't get angry, because anger is ugly and unladylike and will make people not like you. Hiding my pain because no one wants to hear about your problems, because people have their own issues, because you'll be a burden if you're honest about how much you're struggling. Pretending everything was fine when inside I was falling apart, screaming, drowning. I smiled when I wanted to scream. I said yes when I meant no. I took care of everyone else and ignored my own needs because my needs didn't matter, or at least that's what I believed. I let people hurt me and said it was okay. I forgave prematurely before I'd even acknowledged the hurt, because that's what spiritual people do, right? I stuffed down every uncomfortable emotion, fear, anger, grief, rage, disappointment, and kept moving forward, because what else was I supposed to do? Stop? Rest? Feel? That felt impossible. That felt dangerous, and my body kept score. Every single time I betrayed myself, my body felt it. Every time I let someone hurt me and pretended it didn't matter, my body remembered. Every time I swallowed words I needed to say, my body absorbed them. Every time I smiled through pain, my body registered the lie. Every time I looked in the mirror and thought hateful thoughts about what I saw, my body took it in like poison. It all had to go somewhere. Energy doesn't just disappear. Emotions don't just evaporate. Trauma doesn't just fade away on its own. Where did it all go? Into my cells, my tissues, my organs. Into tension patterns that became chronic, into inflammatory responses that wouldn't turn off, into a nervous system stuck in hypervigilance, into a body that was doing everything it could to survive the war I was waging against it. Until finally my body said, enough. We can't do this anymore. We can't carry this anymore. Something has to change or we're going to die. And that something was cancer. Cancer was the message, the wake-up call, the intervention, the final attempt to get me to stop and listen and change. Healing began when I stopped seeing my body as the problem and started seeing it as the messenger. When I stopped asking what's wrong with my body and started asking, what is my body trying to tell me? When I stopped fighting the symptoms and started listening to what they were saying. And what they were saying was this: you have to learn to love yourself, you have to stop hating yourself, you have to forgive yourself, you have to release all this rage and grief and pain you've been carrying. You have to tell the truth. You have to honor your needs. You have to stop betraying yourself. You have to choose yourself. You have to live. I ask myself, what am I holding on to that's making me sick? What belief is so toxic that my body can't carry it anymore? What am I refusing to feel? What truth am I refusing to see? And the answer came clear as day, undeniable once I stopped resisting it. The belief